You might feel anger, disappointment, or even confusion when you notice people taking advantage of you. Maybe you put enormous effort into relationships, always offering your time, energy, or resources, yet realize that your needs remain unmet. You see red flags, but you assume things will sort themselves out. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. Instead, you wind up feeling drained. You wonder how you turned into someone's emotional safety net, financial backer, or personal doormat. You question whether you gave away your power and identity somewhere along the way. I've worked with many men who nod in agreement at this scenario. They say, "Why do I always end up getting used or undervalued? Why do I have to fight so hard just to get a fraction of the respect I deserve?" You might relate to that feeling, as if you're stuck in an emotional rut. Instead of seeing yourself as worthy and confident, you begin seeing yourself as an eternal fixer. Some men even slip into the people-pleaser trap, doing whatever is necessary to keep the peace while simultaneously ignoring their own frustrations. When men talk about losing their autonomy or dignity in a relationship, they often use phrases like, "I feel like a wallet," or "I'm just an option to her." They see themselves in this endless cycle of pleasing, hoping their partner will acknowledge their efforts. Yet the same pattern reappears time and time again. Relationships built on this dynamic cause lingering emotional wounds. The man feels unappreciated and used, yet also deeply afraid of being alone. That's the struggle, wanting to protect your sense of self while longing for connection and validation. Many men believe they have to choose one over the other, but you can have both. The key is to protect your masculine value. Emphasize your self-worth, define your boundaries, and recognize what you bring to the table. Let's explore how you can stop the cycle of feeling used and move into healthier, more balanced connections. Why men often get used in relationships? Men get used for many reasons, but a consistent theme is that they place external validation above self-respect. This doesn't arise out of nowhere. It often stems from early experiences. Maybe you had a situation in childhood where you felt ignored, so you learned that being extra helpful got people's attention. Over time, that strategy became a habit. You placated people, avoided conflict, and believed you had to give in order to be loved. People-pleasing can become a personality trait. In psychology, we sometimes link this pattern to fawning, a response to stress or conflict where you become overly accommodating to avoid negative outcomes. In romantic settings, it looks like fear of being disliked, so you keep upping the ante to remain indispensable. Before you know it, you say yes to every favor, every extra request, every emotional demand. Your boundaries fade. Your identity gets lost. This puts you in a vulnerable spot to be taken advantage of by those who seek to exploit such generosity. There's also a cultural narrative at play. Some men heard, "A real man provides." "A real man never complains about giving." "A real man just shoulders everything." This outdated notion can convince you that you exist primarily as a resource, which leads to unhealthy dynamics. If your relationship experiences revolve around this caretaker role, you might not realize that your partner or others are getting a free pass at your expense. You'll stay in the game, continuing to sacrifice and rarely challenge the idea that you deserve better. By acknowledging these psychological and social factors, you can begin to see how easily men stumble into relationships where they get used. Men who exude confidence and worth don't do so by accident. They cultivate strong personal habits, hold firm boundaries, and act from a place of purpose. This approach drives up their perceived value, both in their own eyes and in the eyes of others. Instead of chasing approval, they focus on what they can control, their actions, mindset, and growth. High-value behaviors include self-discipline, resilience, communication skills, and emotional intelligence. You stay calm under pressure, share your opinions openly, and place genuine value on your time. People notice. Healthy partners appreciate your integrity. Manipulative individuals realize they can't walk all over you. This shift begins inside, with your willingness to recognize your own importance and demand mutual respect in any connection. When your identity is rooted in secure self-esteem, you stop deriving your value from external praise. You create a balanced synergy. You give, but you expect reciprocity. These are not mere tips and tricks. High-value behavior is a mindset. If you see yourself as a leader in your own life, you won't settle for someone else controlling your narrative. In relationships, that means you assert your boundaries clearly, engage with emotional honesty, and align your actions with your beliefs. Instead of reacting defensively, you respond thoughtfully. You prioritize your passions, personal goals, and well-being. This signals to others that you respect yourself, so they must do the same if they want to be in your circle. Your competence underpins your confidence. When you feel capable, professionally, socially, emotionally, you project self-assurance. You trust your judgment. You realize that you can find solutions to challenges, so you're less likely to cower in people-pleasing behavior. Competence can look like mastering a new skill, excelling in your career, or developing better emotional regulation. Each step forward strengthens your sense of self. In psychology, this resonates with self-determination theory, which emphasizes competence, autonomy, and relatedness. When you feel competent, you see yourself as effective and less prone to believing you need external validation. Instead, you recognize your own power to make an impact. You don't chase acceptance because you stand on a foundation of genuine skill and self-belief. That shift often leads men to pursue improved communication, conflict resolution, or even practical abilities like financial literacy or fitness. These elements matter in shaping how you see yourself and how others see you. Challenge yourself to pick a domain you've neglected. It could be cooking, a new language, a sport, or developing mastery in your career field. Pursuing something that requires effort and dedication changes how you feel about your worth. You approach relationships from a place of, I can hold my own rather than, I hope I'm enough. This quiet sense of capability stops others from viewing you as a doormat and encourages them to meet you with respect. Market value sounds transactional, but it's really about recognizing that you have currency in the dating or relationship sphere. This currency includes your qualities, experiences, resources, values, personality, and overall character. You are not just an accessory to someone else's life. You are a whole person with a lot to offer. Consider how you evaluate potential partners. You look at qualities like kindness, intelligence, attractiveness, ambition, compassion, or even sense of humor. Similarly, others look at you through their personal lens. If you minimize or undervalue what you bring, you send a signal that you don't see yourself as worthy. This can attract the wrong people, ones who sense you don't require respect or reciprocity. Recognizing your market value means seeing yourself as someone with unique strengths. You hold standards for the kind of partner you'd like to be with and the type of relationship dynamic you want to cultivate. If you know you can hold a conversation, financially support yourself, remain emotionally stable, handle conflict, and commit to personal growth, you inherently increase your value. You don't become cocky or arrogant. You simply acknowledge that you have a powerful identity, so you expect that to be mirrored by a partner who also invests in the relationship in a healthy manner. Many men don't realize their value often rises with age. You might worry that your youthful days are long gone. Perhaps you see the media glamorizing young men with chiseled abs and carefree lives. However, life experience becomes a formidable asset. As you mature, you accrue wisdom. You manage your finances better. You build stronger communication skills. You become more resilient after facing setbacks. You cultivate deeper emotional intelligence. This growth trajectory matters in relationships. A mature man who knows himself often has a calming presence that younger men struggle to project. A partner who values emotional stability and depth will respect these qualities. If your sense of self-worth is anchored in experience, competence, and self-knowledge, you're much less likely to be manipulated or used. Embrace your evolving identity. You are not stagnant. Revisit the areas where you need to stretch yourself. Learn to see the changes you've undergone as an ongoing journey that amplifies your worth. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today, says psychologist Jordan B. Peterson in his book 12 Rules for Life. The essence of that message is personal progress. You build a stronger internal narrative by tracking how far you've come, instead of measuring yourself against every passing trend or peer benchmark. Your masculine identity might derive from core traits like leadership, protectiveness, decisiveness, creativity, or a strong ethical code. Embracing these elements doesn't mean subscribing to limiting stereotypes of masculinity. True masculine strength involves authenticity, knowing what drives you, what you believe in, and how you want to engage with the world. You might worry you'll appear controlling or domineering if you embrace your masculine side. But healthy masculinity doesn't revolve around aggression or belittling others. It's about responsibility, self-respect, and clarity in your purpose. You acknowledge your emotional landscape while recognizing you have agency in shaping outcomes. This kind of balanced masculinity paves the way for mutual respect in relationships. Carl R. Rogers, the famous humanistic psychologist, once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." This resonates here. You won't grow by rejecting your inherent traits or apologizing for your masculinity. You progress by acknowledging those parts of yourself, good or bad, and then deciding how to refine them. Embracing your masculinity means you own your identity without hesitation or shame, and you treat it as a stable anchor from which you interact with others. Every man holds distinctive attributes. You might be analytical, empathetic, physically strong, or have a special knack for humor. Pinpoint these traits and lean into them. When you focus on what sets you apart, you begin feeling proud of who you are. This transforms relationships because you show up as someone who has self-awareness and clarity. You're not second-guessing your place in the interaction. Maybe your unique strength is your calm demeanor. In relationships, you offer reassurance and stability. Perhaps you have a passion for building or creating, so you bring that sense of craftsmanship and artistry into shared experiences. Or you might have unwavering loyalty, making you a supportive partner in tough times. Hone in on whatever stands out for you. Own it. When you openly appreciate your authentic attributes, your partner or potential partner will too, if they have genuine intentions. Adopting this mindset prevents you from becoming a carbon copy of somebody else's vision of a perfect man. You realize that your distinct qualities form the foundation of your masculine identity. You don't hide them to fit into a mold. You celebrate them. This leads directly into the next topic, avoiding the trap of mimicking others and learning to be comfortable in your own skin. Social media and peer pressure often push men to conform to a particular image. You see a friend or influencer who exudes confidence, so you try to replicate their mannerisms, style, or phrases, hoping it will work for you. But forcing yourself to become a copy of someone else rarely leads to genuine respect or fulfillment. It feels hollow, and people sense the inauthenticity. When you mimic someone else, you run the risk of losing your voice. You adopt opinions you don't truly believe, you hide your true preferences, and you shapeshift to please whoever you're with. This pattern is exhausting. It also sets the stage for being used. If you aren't grounding yourself in your own core values, then you easily bend to the will of others. You don't have to reject influence altogether. You can glean inspiration from mentors, coaches, or men you admire. The goal is to adapt what resonates with you, then make it your own. High-value men synthesize lessons from various sources while retaining their personal style. They recognize, I like how that person handles adversity, I'll work on my resilience. Yet they still remain anchored in their unique identity, so they're not a carbon copy of their role models. Authenticity is magnetic. People sense when you're genuine. They also sense when you're putting on a show. You have nothing to prove once you accept who you are. This acceptance fosters a stable internal environment, which in turn supports healthy relationships. You don't jump through hoops to mold yourself into someone's ideal. Instead, you stand firm, and those who resonate with you will appreciate that solidity. Being true to yourself might involve establishing boundaries around your interests, values, or spiritual beliefs. Perhaps you love playing guitar at local open mic nights, or you have a unique appreciation for old-school jazz. Don't abandon your passions just because you fear someone might judge you. Your authenticity is the substance that anchors your masculine identity. Staying true to yourself also requires self-awareness. Reflect on your motivations. Are you saying yes to things that conflict with your integrity just to earn favor? Are you bottling up disagreements just to avoid tension? That pattern jeopardizes your identity. You end up feeling stifled and resentful. If you want to protect your masculine value, stay honest with yourself and others about what aligns with your character. Men who protect their values set explicit expectations. This isn't a matter of bossing people around. It's about clarifying what is acceptable and what isn't. When you create boundaries, you give others a roadmap for how to treat you. You also reveal that your time and energy hold significance. Boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines that define a space between you and another person. You draw a line saying, "This is what I am comfortable with, and I expect you to respect it." People who value you will respect these boundaries. People who just want to take advantage of you will push or belittle them. That difference helps you identify who deserves a place in your life. It might feel uncomfortable at first. You might worry you'll be labeled as selfish or unkind. But having clear boundaries is not selfish. It is an act of self-care. It prevents unhealthy enmeshment where you lose sight of your needs. In No More Mr. Nice Guy, Dr. Robert Glover discusses how neglecting boundaries leads to resentment and unhappiness. When you state your limits openly, you free yourself from the hidden anger that arises when you silently tolerate disrespect. You also promote healthier communication by conveying your standards up front. Boundaries and standards only work when both partners commit to respecting them. You must also respect your partner's boundaries. Mutual respect forms the bedrock of any healthy connection. If both individuals honor each other's needs and limits, the relationship thrives. If you consistently set a standard of reciprocity where you give as much as you receive, then you decrease the likelihood of being used. Demonstrating respect means listening actively, acknowledging emotions, and showing empathy. It means you don't bulldoze your partner's perspective, but you also never let them bulldoze yours. Striking this balance helps you maintain your independence while sharing your life with someone else. You have the emotional freedom to express who you truly are without fearing that your partner will walk all over you. Keep an eye out for red flags, such as constant one-sided demands or manipulative tactics. Confront these issues early. If the other person refuses to respect your boundaries, that relationship might not be in your best interest. As you cultivate these communication skills, your relationships will shift. You'll create a dynamic where you feel valued, seen, and understood, rather than exploited or drained. Men who protect their masculine value move through the world with a sense of freedom and purpose. They stand tall, knowing they have worth that doesn't depend on external approval. They recognize their strengths, invest in their growth, and maintain healthy boundaries. These behaviors foster relationships where respect flows in both directions, where mutual support trumps exploitation. Some men struggle with the idea of reclaiming this power. They worry they'll come off as too demanding or too confident. But remember, this is about being your authentic self and recognizing your right to expect honest, balanced, and respectful treatment. You deserve fulfilling relationships, whether they're romantic, platonic, or professional. You don't have to settle for being used, undervalued, or overlooked. Allow yourself to be vulnerable with people who earn your trust. Speak up when something doesn't feel right. Keep building your confidence and developing a higher sense of self-respect. Recognize that your market value rises with experience and maturity, so don't fall prey to any societal narrative that suggests you lose value over time. You have a voice and a presence that matters. When you own that truth, you give yourself the permission to flourish, both as a man and as a partner in any relationship.